Ever since I got back into Felix the Cat in mid-2019, I've been doing endless research about the character, from its importance in animation history to the many strange partnerships over the years. So of course, it was inevitable that I create an iceberg of all the interesting tidbits and weird things I found. We'll start out with entries that most people recognize and are familiar with, and the deeper we go, the more obscure it gets. In the final tier, we'll go over more disturbing and creepy entries. Get your scuba gear on, because we're diving into the Felix the Cat Iceberg. First marketable cartoon character. Before the rise of Popeye, Betty Boop, and even Mickey Mouse, the first big cartoon celebrity in pop culture was Felix the Cat, created way back in 1919. His cute design and ability to play with the world around him brought in a large audience. Felix was featured in advertising, numerous merchandise, and plenty of films created to please moviegoers. Sadly, Felix isn't as big as he was back in the silent era, but today he is still used for merchandise, from clothing, plush toys, comic books, and many more. Public domain. Felix the Cat was created way back in 1919. That's over 100 years ago. That means a majority of his films are slowly becoming public domain. However, the copyright status isn't as simple as you may think. I'm not too smart with copyright, but I'll try my best to explain it. A user on Reddit named dwoodward85 summarizes it best.
It's confusing. His very early cartoons are public domain. His first appearance is public domain, which means the character is public domain, but he is still trademark protected by DreamWorks in 2007. You can take the character and make your own based on his earlier works, but you can't call him Felix on the cover. You can't use the trademark name as a selling point basically. You might be able to get away with calling him PHELIX LOL, but when it comes to trademark in the US, at least it currently trumps public domain.
So basically, the character Felix is public domain. However, he is trademarked by DreamWorks Animation. That means you can use Felix in your work, but you can't call him Felix the Cat. Something else I want to add is that characters from the 50s cartoon, such as Poindexter and the Professor, are yet to be public domain. Yeah, this also means his magic bag is still protected by copyright. Again, I'm not a lawyer or an expert with this type of stuff, so feel free to correct me in the comments. Don Oriolo. Don Oriolo is the son of Joe Oriolo, creator of the 1959 Felix the Cat cartoons and comic books. After Joe's death in 1985, Don became the new owner of Felix and would help bring the wonderful cat to a new audience. He was responsible for the huge influx of merchandise and media in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. This includes producing a Felix the Cat movie, making a deal with Hudson Soft on a Felix video game, and introducing Felix to an international audience. Besides the cat, Don Oriolo is known for his paintings and making music. He has an art gallery in Key West, Florida. Check it out if you're local. As for his music career, he plays the guitar and has collaborated with many musicians. Don's a pretty talented guy. DreamWorks buyout. In 2014, Don Oriolo sold Felix the Cat to DreamWorks for an undisclosed amount. To the disappointment of many, it wasn't for a TV series or movie, but to be used as a fashion brand. However, since then, DreamWorks have since announced numerous product lines, a comic book, and a rumored animated series in collaboration with WildBrain. So I guess they must have listened to all those upset comments. Master Tom. Master Tom was the original name for Felix. The name didn't last long as it was only used in some of the first early films. Nothing much else to say. Let's move on. Feline Follies. Feline Follies was the first ever Felix the Cat cartoon produced by Pat Sullivan Studios and distributed by Paramount Pictures in 1919. Like the previous entry, he was known as Master Tom, and it follows Felix, Master Tom, meeting a white cat, now known as Kitty Cat, falling in love and wreaking havoc all over the neighborhood. All while a group of mice terrorize Felix's home, eat all his food, and just have a good time. After a night out with Kitty, Felix comes back to a destroyed kitchen caused by the mice and falls asleep, followed by his owner who notices the mess and kicks him out. What happens afterwards I'll save for later. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is an English filmmaker who is notable for directing several films during the silent era. He is considered one of the most important figures in film history. Chaplin would make an animated appearance in the 1923 film Felix in Hollywood, where Felix goes to Hollywood, and meet with several notable celebrities at the time. Interestingly enough, Otto Mesmer directed several animated films featuring Charlie Chaplin before Felix. Creator debate. For years, the biggest debate surrounding the famous cat is who the true creator of Felix is. Ever since the first cartoon, Pat Sullivan was credited for all things Felix, although, years later, many cartoon historians would agree that Otto Mesmer is the true creator, despite claiming Felix as his creation after Sullivan's death. Many say there is evidence that Pat Sullivan is the creator, according to old signatures and wording in cartoons. Nowadays, both names are credited for creating him. However, nobody is 100% sure which of the two is the true creator of Felix. Felix Chevrolet. One of the most iconic signs in Los Angeles is located atop the Felix Chevrolet building. It's a car dealership that has been using Felix as their mascot since 1921, just 2 years after Felix's creation. The story as to how and why Felix is a mascot is pretty funny actually. Pat Sullivan, who was great friends with the owner, Winslow B. Felix, allowed him to use the character to promote his business and vice versa, just because they shared the same name. If you're ever in Los Angeles, stop by for a visit. 1927 experimental broadcast. This is a pretty interesting one. Back when television was still in its infancy, engineers needed a model to be filmed as the image was tweaked to be broadcasted clearly. A Felix figure must have been lying around, as that was what was used to be televised. Said Felix figure was put on a turntable, and thus history was made. Felix had just become the first TV star ever. Being a black and white cat, he was a perfect choice to be broadcasted through black and white television. Sadly, the original broadcast is lost, but photos and video recreations are available online. Lost 1920s silent films. These cartoons are over 100 years old, so of course a lot of these films won't stand the test of time. There are over 169 known Felix the Cat cartoons, from 1919 to 1936. Luckily, most of the films from the 1930s are available to watch online. However, the same can't be said for most of the cartoons from the 1920s, which are likely gone for good. Macy's Thanksgiving Parade Balloon. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is one of the most famous and iconic events in the US. It has been going on every Thanksgiving since 1924. What's odd about this is that Macy's has stated numerous times that Felix was the first balloon to appear in the parade in 1927. However, documents have claimed Felix's first appearance was actually in 1932. How did Macy's make this mistake? I have no idea. Felix would make another appearance in 2011 as a mascot costume, and one more time as a balloon in 2016 to celebrate the parade's 90th anniversary.
Balloon character to ever appear in the Macy's Parade. And for this 90th event, the artists of the Macy's Parade studio have replicated the 1927 design of the original feline inflatable, and Matt and I saw it that year.
It was great.
It looks pretty good, doesn't it?
High school mascot. Not only is Felix the mascot of a car dealership, but he is also the mascot of a high school sports team, the Logan Sport Berries. It's unknown how or why he became the mascot, but the most common story is pretty cute. So the story goes is a player brought a Felix plush to a basketball game. After winning the game and staff noticing the Felix plush, they saw it as good luck and therefore made him the mascot. To this day, Felix still represents the team and is actually the oldest high school mascot in the state of Indiana. Woo's Whoopie. This cartoon is one of the last sound cartoons for Felix the Cat, and one of the most iconic. It centers around a drunk hallucinating Felix and his wife waiting for him to arrive home. It's known for using a lot of bizarre imagery and creative gags. Cancelled holiday movies. In the early 2000s, Felix was once again revived in the form of straight-to-DVD holiday movies. 3 movies were planned, and they were Felix Saves Christmas, Felix's Halloween Spooktacular, and Felix's Valentine Surprise. The only one of the 3 to be officially released was the Christmas movie in October of 2004. It's not known if the Halloween and Valentine's movie ever started production. The Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat. The Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat was the 90s reboot of Felix. Premiering in September of 1995, it was produced by Film Roman. This reboot was a wackier modern take of the Otto Mesmer films and Fleischer Studio cartoons. While the series suffered from low ratings back in the day, it would get a resurgence in popularity in 2020, where multiple clips were shared online. It is also praised for its surreal, bizarre nature and accurately rebooting the Fleischer Studio style of animation for a modern audience. Nevertheless, the series received a boatload of merchandise, from toys in partnership with Wendy's, VHS tapes, and a valuable DVD, which I just so happen to own.
Freeloaders.
Popularity in Asia. Specifically in Korea and Japan, where black cats are seen as good luck, Felix is still popular in Asian countries. His fame can go way back to his silent film days, but it wasn't until the Joe Oriolo cartoons where he would explode in popularity. So popular, in fact, he was at one point the top 3 licensed characters in Japan. Many examples of Japan using Felix include a collaboration with Sanrio, an anime being created, and a mascot for many companies. Scrapping reboots revivals. The meaning behind this entry is the fact that whenever a Felix cartoon, film, or any type of media is announced, it quickly gets cancelled or doesn't get far into production. It's pretty much a meme in the Felix community to just assume when a new Felix production gets announced, it's quickly assumed to never get far into production or cancelled. Cancelled 2010 CG show. This cancelled CGI show was produced by French studio Team 2 in association with Forecast Pictures. The series was planned to have 52 episodes, although no episodes were aired, and it's unknown if any were produced. All that we have are a few screenshots, model sheets, and a 4-second clip. Felix the Cat Live. Felix the Cat Live is possibly one of the strangest pieces of official Felix media out there. It was a short-lived live-action show from the 70s, created by Joe Oriolo. It's similar to Barney, where costumes and makeup are used, and most of the cast features human actors. It's unknown exactly how many episodes were produced, but an official DVD was released, as well as a couple episodes being available on Amazon Prime. Felix the Cat Anime. No, not that Felix anime. There we go. This was a 2000s Japanese anime of Felix the Cat. It's Felix, but as a baby. It followed the trend of baby revivals of classic cartoons that were big for whatever reason. Of course, this anime was made with young kids in mind, so adults and fans don't really care for this show as much. The series premiered on NHK in Japan, and on DVD in the US. The entire series is also available to view for free on Peacock. Coconut Fred's Fruit Salad Island. Coconut Fred is a 2005 animated TV series that premiered on Kids WB. It revolves around a coconut and a group of fruit characters that are stranded on a magical island that can be controlled by Fred. Strangely enough, The show, which is known nowadays for being a bad SpongeBob ripoff, received high ratings when it premiered. Now what the heck does this show have to do with Felix? Well, it was actually co-created by Don Oriolo. It was even advertised on his blog and on the Felix website at one point. Felix no Mitante, also known as Detective Felix in Trouble, an unauthorized stop-motion Japanese film featuring Felix the Cat. After Felix faded into obscurity in the US during the transition to sound, he became popular in Asian parts of the world. Shigeji Ogino, I think I pronounced that wrong, a Japanese animator, purchased a Felix toy and created a 10-minute stop-motion film where Felix solves a mystery of stolen shoes. The film is known for being one of, if not the oldest surviving fan film produced outside the US. Julius the Cat. No, this is not Felix the Cat. This is Julius the Cat. Julius was a character from the Alice comedies created by Walt Disney Animation Studios. He was one of the first major characters by Walt Disney, predating Mickey Mouse and even Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. The New York Times even called Julius
a blatant clone. From the rubber hose and circle designed the detachable body parts.
Oriolo Guitars. Oriolo Guitars is Don Oriolo's guitar business. Don Oriolo has always been a fan of music, so it isn't surprising he would have a business revolving around it. The store sells various types of guitars, such as acoustics, ukuleles, picks, and some of his own music. Of course, this doesn't have to do much with Felix himself, but if you keep looking, he does have a bunch of Felix-themed guitars for sale. Felix and the Buzzcats. Felix and the Buzzcats was a jazz and swing album released in 1999 featuring Felix. The music isn't that bad, I actually really enjoyed it. They even played for former US President Bill Clinton at a fundraiser where they raised over $1 million. Impressive. New York Comic Con booth. Yes, Felix had his own booth at New York Comic Con in 2012 and 2013. For those that don't know, Comic-Con is a yearly event where comic fans, artists, and pop culture in general come together to cosplay, meet celebrities, and get to know about upcoming projects. A mascot costumed Felix along with Don Oriolo made an appearance selling Felix goodies and meeting fans. Felix would make another return to New York Comic-Con in 2021, although in the form of a kid's badge, to advertise the release of the upcoming comic series. Felix the Cat and the New Adventures. Not to be confused with the 90s comic book series, this was another planned CG animated reboot that was being developed in 2007. A 1-minute teaser trailer was made to test Felix in a 3D environment, modeled and animated by Lorenzo Vici. The trailer gives off a sci-fi-ish adventure series where Felix gets transported to a different dimension. Besides that, the animation test was never greenlit for a full series and would have remained unheard if it were never posted on Lorenzo's blog. The Felix the Cat Store. This was a business that sold, you guessed it, Felix the Cat merchandise. Located in Lafayette, New Jersey, it sold a variety of Felix-themed merchandise, from guitars, t-shirts, plush toys, you guess it. It even featured an art gallery full of paintings by Don Oriolo. It probably wasn't a successful business since it was short-lived, but man, would I do to spend a couple hours in here. At least we have a commercial which has video footage of what the store looked like and what was for sale.
Felix, I got some great ideas for our commercial. Surf on down to the Felix the Cat Store.
Wow, where can I get one of those guitars?
Come on down to the Felix the Cat Store at Lafayette Village.
Where?
Lafayette, New Jersey. Let's go to the Felix store where you all can see some more
Who makes them?
cats with little tiny paws. Felix the Cat, the wonderful, wonderful cat. I approve this message. What I do for this cat.
While on the topic of Felix the Cat stores, over in Japan, a pop-up store opened in celebration of Felix's 100th anniversary. The store was run by Ayumi Seto, a Japanese fashion model who used the concept of American diners as the theme for the store. There are several more Felix stores in Korea, but I'll be here forever if I had to talk about them all. Marukawa Chewing Gum. This brand of chewing gum was established in 1948 in Japan. A variety of characters were used on their products, such as Doraemon, Kirby, and of course, Felix, dubbed Neko Gum. It was introduced in 1960 and was sold individually for 10 yen. Flavors vary, from green apple, blueberry, and strawberry being the most popular. The gum even included a lottery, where if the slip of paper inside said a certain Japanese word, you could get a free gum from the store you bought it from. Betty Boop and Felix. This was a newspaper comic strip featuring the titular characters. It launched in 1984 and was written by Mort Walker's son, Brian, Morgan, Greg, and Neil. It revolved around Betty Boop, a working woman, and her new pet Felix. Unlike his past appearances, Felix doesn't talk at all. Instead, his ideas are conveyed through thought bubbles, similar to Garfield. The comic would conclude on January 31st, 1988. Felix and Pals, Puppet Party. This unproduced TV series by FTFTheToonist revolved around the Felix cast, but as puppets. Not much else is known about the series besides there being 13 episodes planned. According to the Lost Media Wiki, an email from the FTFTheToonist co-founder Craig Marin said the following.
Hi. Thanks for asking about the show. Unfortunately, it never made it past the planning stages. Puppets were built as you see, but the producers decided not to go forward. It would have been a great one though. Uncle Floyd was brought in to be the host. Keep checking www.flexitoon.com for an exciting new show about to drop. All the best, Craig Marin.
Unreleased Famicom game. Don't worry, this isn't a lost game or anything. Kinda. This entry refers to the Japanese port to the NES Felix the Cat game, which was released in the US and Europe, but never in Japan. A release date and price was revealed, however, the game was cancelled for unknown reasons. Magazine ad scans promoting the game online feature a much different designs of Kitty and the Professor, but that's all that is out there. Baby Felix video games. I'm sure most people are aware of the Felix the Cat video games on NES and Game Boy, but did you know there were not one, but two Baby Felix games on PlayStation and Game Boy Color? Maybe you did if you live in Europe, since they were exclusive to PAL regions. The games themselves aren't that exciting, the PS1 being a generic tennis game, and the Game Boy Color being a Halloween 2D platformer. Nothing worth writing home about. Todd McFarlane Easter eggs. If you're familiar with Todd McFarlane, you may recognize him for his work on the Spider-Man comics, or the creator of Spawn. Me, however, I know him for his Felix Easter eggs. Now, why exactly does Todd draw Felix in so many Spider-Man comics? It's a pretty funny story. It all started when Todd met a war vet in Vancouver who would frequently enter a comic store with a Felix plush. The only thing he would buy would always have Felix on it. Todd asked,
"If I put Felix in my comics, would you buy them?"
The war vet said yes, and the rest is history. So, the only reason Felix is in so many Spider-Man comics was to secure a sale from a single person. Pretty sweet if you ask me. Who Framed Roger Rabbit scrapped cameo. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one of the most technologically impressive movies ever. Its mix of live action and 2D animation is still an amazing accomplishment in film to this day. Originally, there was going to be a scene featuring Felix along with some other classic characters, according to storyboards. However, the scene was never animated and therefore scrapped, removing Felix's only animated appearance in the film. Luckily, he wasn't forgotten completely, as he does make a blink and you miss it cameo. Board games. Board games were at the height of their popularity with kids in the 1950s. Felix was a star in children's television at the same time, so a board game based on Felix was bound to happen. It's unknown exactly how many were made, but there were quite a few, such as Candy Dandy Game, Down on the Farm Game, and most notably, the Milton Bradley board game. Poindexters.com. This is a website that has nothing to do with Felix, besides the fact that Poindexter is used as the unofficial mascot. He is the mascot merely because founder Bill Costigan saw Poindexter as a mischievous genius with an IQ of 222 and a favorite character from his childhood. The business specializes in audio, filming, and various types of electronics. There really isn't anything else much to say. Felix the Cat's Cartoon Toolbox. The Cartoon Toolbox was an application that allowed you to create your own cartoons using characters from the Joe Ariolo series. What's interesting about this is that in 1996, the software engine for this application would later be used for the more popular Simpsons Cartoon Studio. Compared to Cartoon Studio, Cartoon Toolbox is much more scarce and harder to find. Poindexter the Movie. Poindexter the Movie is an unfinished direct-to-DVD film revolving around the life of Poindexter. In this film, he goes to kindergarten, enrolls in college, falls in love, builds a science project, and defends the planet from space Martians. Unlike most other Felix projects, this film was going to be entirely computer animated. It's unknown exactly why this film was cancelled, but if you asked me, it's probably the same reason why the Felix holiday movies were canned. Family Gekijo mascot. Family Gekijo was a Japanese TV station that was founded in the mid to late 90s. In 2019, in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Joe Ariolo Felix show, Felix was made the mascot of the network. Many bumpers and commercials were made using a 3D modeled Felix. However, it's unknown exactly how many were made or if any of them are out there, meaning a majority of the original content is lost. Mizzard's song. If you've ever watched the 80s Felix the Cat movie, you've seen the Mizzards act. In the English dub of the movie, it's merely just loud cheering. In the German dub of the movie, the Mizzards are actually singing a song which was never translated into any other language of the movie. It's unknown why it was never translated, and I can't come up with any ideas, so let's move on. The Squishies. You're probably thinking, what the heck is this and what does it have to do with Felix? More on that later. The Squishies was a 2014 South Korean animated film directed by Taek Kim. Again, probably pronounced that wrong. She is best known for being the animation director for many 80s and 90s cartoons, such as TMNT, The Real Ghostbusters, and The Smurfs. The film follows a girl who finds herself lost in the magical world of Squishyland. With the help of her friend Whoopi, a magical squishy who can transform into anything, she must find her way back home before it's too late. The film was written, produced, and designed by Don Oriolo, who you know was the CEO of Felix the Cat Production. The film was even advertised on the official Felix website, announcing that it was ready for screening, as well as mentioning that Mark Hamill having a voice role in the movie. The dub of the film was thought to be lost or cancelled until in August 2021. The full English dubbed movie was uploaded to YouTube. And speaking of cancelled Squishies media, in a spring 2000 Felix news article, an agreement was made to develop a Squishies TV series consisting of 26 episodes. it went nowhere. Don Oriolo disliked Twisted Tales. Now before I jump into conclusions, this is merely just a rumor. I cannot find any evidence for this entry. With that being said, many Felix fans say that Don Oriolo was not a fan of the 90s Felix reboot, The Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat. One of the biggest reasons being because the show itself was not as accurate to his father's 50s Felix show. Characters such as the Professor, Poindexter, Rockbottom, and Vavoom were either completely absent or were used as Easter eggs. Poindexter would later have a larger role in Season 2. However, the Professor and Rockbottom would be heavily redesigned in a way Don Oriolo did not appreciate.
Let Fanny, I must have that cat's magic bag of tricks!
Ooh, I like tricks.
You're telling me, if I had that bag, I could, dare I say it, rule the world!
I could use a bag to go with these shoes.
Again, this is merely just a rumor, nor do I myself think he had dreaded the show. Pachinko machine. Felix had his own pachinko machine in Japan. Who didn't? Felix the Cat the movie, troubled production. If you've ever seen Felix the Cat the movie, you'd know the film is a fascinating mess from beginning to end. It's been said that the film was a nightmare to make, mainly due to how many countries helped create this one film. A total of 6 countries help animate, storyboard, write, and create music. To make matters worse, with the exception of United States and Canada, each country spoke a different language, so communicating to each other must have resulted in many translation errors. And to make things much worse, the production company, New World Pictures, was at the edge of bankruptcy when producing the film. So bad that they couldn't release it in theaters as planned, meaning direct-to-video was the only way out. Another fun fact was the use of new motion capture CGI technology of Felix's head. It was used in both the beginning and ending of the film. It was the first time ever where a notable cartoon character would be animated this way, using this technology.
You know, we've been through some amazing adventures together, but I just gotta tell you about one that beats them all. You see, I just got back from the land of Oriana. Never been there? That doesn't surprise me. They don't have an airport.
Felix the Cat and his pal Gummy Bar. This is a Christmas song featuring Felix the Cat in collaboration with Gummy Bar. Yes, the Gummy Bear. The song is titled You Know It's Christmas and was released in December of 2008. The song is actually lost media, and all that exists is a 30-second clip and a recreation, which isn't the official full song. Felix the Cat the movie, unused songs. All You Need Is Friends and Together Again were unused songs for Felix the Cat the movie. While the song Together Again was used in the movie album, the same can't be said for All You Need Is Friends, which was originally lost until it suddenly resurfaced online. Cancelled Tremblay Bros Felix show. Simply titled Felix the Cat, this was a cancelled reboot that was being produced by Tremblay Bros Studios. They're well known for manufacturing licensed products based on their animated series and collaborating with global brands. The series is thought to be scrapped due to DreamWorks acquiring the rights to Felix in 2014. The Adventures of Felix the Cat. This entry is pretty interesting. The Adventures of Felix was a much earlier attempt to bring Felix to television. This reboot is thought to have an art style reminiscent of Otto Mesmer, according to a newspaper clipping. As you may know, the series was never fully produced, and instead the iconic Joe Oriolo series was created to take its place. Hugh McCrae. Hugh McCrae was an Australian writer and poet. He has quite the resume, as he was awarded the OBE, that's Order of the British Empire, and named Australia's Most Astounding Poet. Besides writing, Hugh McCrae was also an artist, and he just so happened to share an apartment with Pat Sullivan before contacting Otto Mesmer to create and direct Felix films. Hugh McCrae was suggested first to do the drawings by Sullivan, given a chance to create animation history. McCrae refused, and until his death in 1958 has regretted that decision. This story is the most solid piece of evidence for Pat Sullivan creating Felix, as it was talked about in the works before Otto Mesmer would come in to create the first Felix film. Cats Out of the Bag, Slow Culture Gallery. Before we talk about Felix, let me explain what the Slow Culture Gallery is. Established in 2013, the Slow Culture Gallery was an art gallery in Los Angeles, focusing on supporting artists and those with an interest in art. It was a place for artists to do what they want, when they want, and however they want. On May 8th of 2015, a special event was held dedicated to Felix the Cat. Nearly 40 members came together to create a piece of work using the famous black cat. Many notable artists such as Sean Solomon and Jay Howell had contributed to the gallery. The Slow Culture Gallery would be closed permanently in 2017. Kit Kat Clock Lawsuit. If you're not familiar with what a Kit Kat clock is, you might recognize it after seeing a photo. Now you know. Anyways, in 2007, after 70 years in business, the Felix the Cat Productions would sue the clock company for trademark violation, claiming the clock was made to capitalize on his success. To make matters worse, in 2004, the manufacturer referred to the clock as the Felix clock. It's unknown who won the battle exactly, but since Kit Kat clock is still in production today, they most likely won or had settled an agreement. Funny enough, in 2014, NJ Crochet, a toy licensing company, would create a Felix wall clock, very similar to the clock they claim to use Felix's likeness for. Felix's musical journey was Hello Kitty. This musical show was a live-action collaboration with the very popular Hello Kitty. This show was listed on the old Felix website and for a long time was thought to be an unproduced or lost show. That was until yours truly found several archived websites containing information about the event, as well as many photos. Photos are now available online. However, as of March 2022, video footage has never resurfaced, making the full show lost. That was until the full concert was uploaded by M History in April 2022. Lost Movie Comic. This entry refers to a comic adaptation of the Felix movie from 1988. It was said to have only been sold in Germany. In 2013, user The Great Ali wrote a journal entry on DeviantArt to share the Google Drive containing an English translation of the comic. The drive is said to have high-quality scans of the pages and containing typos and many translation errors. Sadly, the file has since been deleted and re-uploads or photos are nowhere to be found online. In fact, this journal entry is the only proof of this comic's existence. I've tried looking everywhere and have come up empty-handed. I have been in contact with one user who claims to still own the copy. However, they have yet to provide photos of its existence. Lost Japanese Safety PSAs. Alright, we are going back to Japan to talk about the Lost Felix Safety PSAs. These were 3D animated safety PSAs featuring Felix that were hosted on the Japanese family channel, Family Gekijo. There isn't a comprehensive list of PSAs that were made, but from an article I found a few years back, we can assume some of the announcements were global warming, theft, and drunk driving. All I can find from these PSAs was a screenshot that was in an article. It's unknown which ad it is from. While we're on the topic of lost Japanese Felix media for the final time, there also existed theater etiquette bumpers. These would play before movies and advise the moviegoers to use common sense and be quiet during the film and such. Again, all that exists is a screenshot from a couple articles. Unreleased Philips CDI game. Yes, there was going to be a Philips CDI game. I'm sure most of you know what the CDI is, but for those that don't, basically it was a multimedia console released by Philips in 1991. It was originally made to play movies, audio, and various types of applications and software. The console was never intended to play video games, but later claimed to due to poor sales. It is very infamous for its partnership with Nintendo and creating some of the worst video games ever made, such as Hotel Mario and 3 Zelda games, which would go on to become very popular in the form of YouTube poops. Anyways, the unreleased CDI game featured many comics, cartoons, and games based on the 60s Felix the Cat cartoon and comic books. It was most likely unreleased due to the poor sales of the CDI. Luckily, it's just a port of an MS-DOS game, Felix the Cat's giant electronic comic book, so it's not entirely lost. In 2020, a prototype was found and is available to play on your CDI. Although, why would you want to? Unfinished Van Buren cartoon. In the 1930s, to help revive Felix the Cat, Van Buren Studios created 3 cartoons that included sound and color. But did you know there was going to be a 4th cartoon? This was titled Ski Outing. It featured a new character named Waldo battling with Felix to race down a snowy mountain. It was never finished, and all that remains from the cartoon is a model sheet of Waldo dating back to 1936. One Good Turn Fox. One Good Turn is a Felix the Cat cartoon released in 1929, and revolves around Felix singing and saving a fox from hunters. This short film would go on to become very popular for a scene where Felix meets the fox and shares a kiss on the nose. Evidently, this would go on to create fanships and plenty of fan art between the two. Some names were given to the fox, such as Foxy, Connie, or Frankie. Felix kills himself in his first cartoon. Continuing back from where we stopped in the Feline Follies entry, a group of mice wreck Felix's home, eating all the food and just having fun playing around. After a night out with Kitty, Felix comes back to a destroyed home and falls asleep, followed by his owner who notices the mess and kicks him out. Quickly fleeing the scene, Felix meets back with Kitty, who reveals to him several baby kittens waiting for him. Felix once again flees as quickly as he can away from his new responsibility. He then stops at a nearby gas factory, attaches a hose to an open pipe, turns the gas pipe on, and sticks it in his mouth, patiently waiting for what's about to happen to him. In Felix's first ever cartoon, he ends his own life. Felix the Cat website hack. Using the Wayback Machine, on February 22nd, 2008, the official Felix the Cat website was hacked by 2 users, followed by an unsaved image. The hackers claimed to be from Saudi Arabia and left the message,
"Q admin site. From Saudi Arabia. Security got down."
Along with the message, 2 emails were left at the bottom of the page. Even though this capture is from over 10 years ago, I would highly recommend not doing any deeper research into this. So like what many joke entries say, do not research. Baby Felix animators went to work for hentai. No, this is not a meme entry. I personally believe that some of the artists and animators that worked on Baby Felix now produce hentai. Here's how. The studio that animated this series is Radix Ace Entertainment. I'm not too familiar with anime, so I can't come up with any good examples or what they created, but that's besides the point. After the studio went defunct in 2006, most of the staff went on to join Seven, an animation studio known for producing anime and hentai. Pretty bizarre theory, I know. Thanksgiving Parade disaster? In the 1920s, when the parade started out, Macy's actually had no plans to deflate the balloon to reuse them. Instead, staff were advised to simply release a float in the air at the end of the show, where they would deflate naturally. Some sources even say that prize money would be awarded to anyone that can find the balloons. The Felix float wouldn't last long in the sky, as immediately, when the handlers let go, Felix would catch fire after being tangled in telephone wires, bursting into flames. It's said that nobody was harmed, and this incident was the only time a balloon ever caught fire. There's one thing that many news articles get wrong about this story. It was never Felix who caught on fire. He most likely turned out perfectly fine. The balloon that was in the incident was the cat. Just the cat, not related to Felix at all. Looking at the few photos of the float, it's pretty understanding to figure out why people make this mistake. They're both black cats, share the same head shape, and made an appearance a couple years apart from each other. So to put this rumor to sleep, yes and no, Felix never caught on fire, but the cat part did. Sega Genesis Russian bootleg. Simply named Felix the Cat, this Russian bootleg video game was made for the Sega Genesis in the early 2010s. The game itself is nothing special, merely just a badly designed port of the NES game. When you lose all your continues, you are given an option: A or Het. Selecting A would simply bring you back to the title screen, while Het, on the other hand, shows you a disturbing photo of Felix. The game was made popular by Vinesauce, playing a variety of bootleg video games. Het has become a popular meme in the Vinesauce and Silva Gunner community, but ironically, infamous in the Felix fandom. The image itself was actually stolen from an artist known as Dozig N to Kill. 1920s Felix the Cat toys. This entry refers to the Felix the Cat toys from the 1920s. Felix was at the height of his popularity during this time, so merchandise was inevitable. Upon searching the term 1920s Felix the Cat toys, you are greeted by some of the most disturbing, strangest, and frightening pieces of merchandise ever. It really blows my mind that people actually walked around with these toys and didn't bat an eye at how creepy they look. Nowadays, these vintage pieces of merchandise fetch for hundreds on auction. Pat Sullivan controversies. Pat Sullivan is known for being one of the creators of Felix the Cat. He was an Australian cartoonist who came to America to find better work. The animation industry wouldn't be what it is if it weren't for Pat Sullivan. However, despite being an iconic and inspirational figure in animation, he was not who you think he was. Pat Sullivan was a very messed up and twisted man. In an interview with Otto Mesmer, Mesmer brought up multiple times where Sullivan would come to work drunk and do many questionable things. Around the time, Sullivan would also be jailed for having sexual activities with two young girls, for which he was imprisoned for just 5 months. While in jail, his studio was temporarily shut down. While this piece of trivia is less known than most of the entries on his iceberg, it makes you appreciate Otto Mesmer much more. Otto Mesmer was responsible for directing a good majority of the Felix cartoons, animating most of them, all while creating the comic series on the side. Otto Mesmer really cared a lot about Felix. If you ask me, Otto Mesmer has to be one of the most important figures in animation. Felix media lost to time. Like I said a number of times in this video, Felix is over 100 years old. Since his debut in 1919, Felix has been through so much throughout the century. It's very likely that I have left out some entries that haven't been rediscovered, known by very few people, or sadly lost to time. With all that being said, archiving is important, not just in the media, but in our personal lives also. We have intelligent computers in our pockets at all times. Why not go out and take a photo or two of yourself at the park with friends or family? Or better yet, a video of that concert you went to. Our memory can hold so little information, so why not make sure those good times never become forgotten or lost to time? Your future self would regret it. Oh man, alright. This took forever to make. I started this project about a year ago, nearly around the time when I finished the iceberg photo, which was a year ago. My god. This took forever to make. I'm happy to say I finally finished it, and this is probably the longest video I'll make in a long time. But yeah, I would like to give a huge thanks to the Felix the Cat fan Discord, which will be in the description below. I would also like to give a shout out to FTFTheToonist for his additional information. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't know about a lot of these entries actually, so big shout out to him. Another shout out to the Lost Media Wiki for making research much more easier for me, especially on some of the cancelled and lost Felix content. Who else? I'd like to give another shout out to bimbelygimbly and itsthebeastlyfigure on Instagram. Some of the biggest Felix fans you'll ever find on Instagram, so I'd like to give a huge shout out to them as well. Links to their accounts will be in the description below, and more videos on the way.